Motion be agreed to.
Speaker.
I call the... I've just got to make sure we go according to this. Where are we? I call the Honourable Member Jonathan Young.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Order.
For that
This is a
call.
conscience issue.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to just pay tribute to the previous Speaker, Honourable Member Tuaroa Flavel, and the hard work that he has done in this bill. And we know that this bill came through the Select Committee with a number of alterations, and thank you for his willingness to work very pragmatically. You will hear, no doubt, from the other side that their view is that the bill was gutted, but we believe, sir, that we have made some very positive and pragmatic alterations to it that actually give some real teeth to some of the issues. For example, the harm minimisation technologies, the original bill only said that harm minimisation devices may be introduced through society's licence conditions. The Select Committee recommended a regulation-making power instead. Regulations enable us to introduce new technologies on a mandatory basis nationwide rather than through each individual licence. So we see, sir, that that was a very positive move to put in a change to the bill. And we know, sir, that there was a tremendous amount of interest up and down this country. As the previous speaker said, there were over 33,000 submissions. Now, not all of those were for nor against. There was quite a divided opinion out there regarding the measures. And so it was important, sir, to actually very, I think, constructively look at what was proposed, look what people out there in the community were saying, look what harms there are that need to be reduced, and look at the benefit to the community groups that the proceeds of gambling contribute to. And so through all of this, we came through with a number of measures. So one of the measures, of course, was this area of harm minimisation technologies. There are a number of trials around the world that we looked at and received information about, and particularly around pre-commitment schemes. And essentially, pre-commitment schemes are where players are typically issued with smart cards. And smart card readers are installed in gaming machines. Players can set limits on the amount of time or money that they can spend on gaming machines before they commence gambling. Typically, a player will be locked out of all machines that are part of the pre-commitment scheme for a designated period of time. It could be for the rest of the day. We note that Sky City has committed to issue facial recognition technology to identify problem gamblers. And that is another technology, I think, that we look on with interest in regard to problem gambling. Professor Abbott from AUT made the comment. He said that this is the first introduction of this technology in the world. And so we do look with keenness at its effect. And now with these changes to the bill, with regulations that will enable a new technology to be rolled out on a mandatory basis if the government sees fit to do that. So, sir, we also know that in New Zealand, gaming machine expenditure in the country's 1,367 pubs and clubs is dropping. In fact, in the first 3 months of 2013 compared to the last 3 months of 2012, it's dropped by 10%. That's a significant drop. Licence holders fell from 359 to 353. Venues declined from 1,403 to 1,367. And the number of gaming machines decreased from just over 18,000 to nearly 17,500. So what we see is that there is a trending down of gambling venues and opportunities and machines in the country. And sir, so the harm reduction, or the people who are affected by gambling, I understand from the Ministry of Health figures, is also decreased. And it's good to see that, sir. None of us want to see anybody harmed in these ways. A number of pre-commitment trials have been run in Australia, and we looked to their example. These trials have generally involved a small number of venues introducing a voluntary pre-commitment scheme. and we know that the Department of Internal Affairs, though it has not undertaken work to assess the cost of introducing pre-commitment technology in New Zealand, that they keenly watch this. The cost of converting a machine to a pre-commitment scheme or a smart card system is around about $1,600 to $1,700 per machine. And so there's obviously a significant cost in this. Sir, there may be ways in which, if this technology proves to be effective, that could be adopted in New Zealand. Mr. Speaker, one of the areas that the previous speaker spoke on was that the original bill was seeking to have 80% of gaming proceeds to be distributed to the local area where they were raised. And this was, again, another area, sir, where we have sought to bring some regulation-making power instead. And essentially, it's because we believe that the same outcome can be achieved through regulation, but it creates more flexibility and enables us to consider issues such as national or regional groups who receive funding from gaming societies, groups such as St John Ambulance, other groups such as the groups who man the beaches in the summertime, perhaps at a beach where there isn't a facility or there isn't any gaming proceeds that have been earned. I think that the previous speaker was right in mentioning that there are some areas that are low decile that have a larger presence of gaming machines. In fact, the Department of Internal Affairs and the Ministry of Health have indicated back in 2012 that in the lowest 2 deciles, 55% of gaming proceeds come from those areas, and that is of concern. And that is why we believe that it was important to create a mechanism by which pokies can be moved out of these low decile areas. To say that just so they can move out into, for example, CBDs and places like that, where they wouldn't be so effective in those low decile areas. So I believe that this is a substantial bill that the member has presented. We've worked through it as a select committee. Congratulations to him, and I believe he's got some real gains, and I believe that there's some very pragmatic measures that will begin to roll out once this becomes law, and we do expect to see a further reduction in harm through gambling. Thank you, sir.
I call the Honourable Trevor Mallard.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I want to make a couple of preliminary points, and the first is to express my thanks to the member